Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight's concert. My name is Matt Schumann. I am a programming librarian here at Carey. Before we begin, please silence your cell phones as to not interrupt the performance. And I want to thank the generous donors to the Carey Library Foundation for helping make tonight's program possible. Performing this evening is Scott Ouellette. Scott is a self-taught classical and solo guitarist. He first began playing guitar at age 5, discovering the sounds of Andrei Segovia, Christopher Parkening, and Konrad Rogosnik. Not having a teacher available, he used the recordings of classical guitarists as his guide, and he taught himself how to read music during the process. By the age of 16, Scott had already graced the stage of the Palladium in New York, performed on television, and was getting work as a professional guitarist. After graduating high school, Scott was accepted to the Berklee College of Music in Boston, where he studied guitar performance and theory. And since 2003, he has composed for solo guitar and holds concerts in and around Boston and in the Northeast. So now, please welcome Scott Ouellette.
So tonight I'm playing on a guitar built by a luthier in Mexico named Perfecto Rubio Vasquez. And I only know him through my friend Eduardo Diaz, who is a well-known classical guitarist on YouTube. And we met around 2007 online, where he needed someone to write the sheet music to his original music. And so I happened to be doing that line of work from my laptop at home. I live in Raleigh, Massachusetts. And so he became a client, and I would write out on my software all the notes for the song, and then send the PDF to him. And that's what I was doing for work at the time. And so we've kept in touch ever since, became good friends. And he was so kind to send this to me as a gift. And he wanted me to have this beautiful guitar. He's friends with the builder, and he's got a number of his guitars as well. And so I fell in love with the Mexican luthiers. So it's my first handmade guitar, so it's I've had it about a year now, so it's quite a pleasure to be able to play it for you tonight. So with that, I'd like to perform one of Eduardo's songs called Repertoire, which is a song about his parents who have since passed away over the last couple of years. So this is called Repertoire. after playing for many decades, sometimes you get a little tired of your own music or playing all the same songs. So you have to reach out on YouTube, which is a great resource for music. And I just wish I had it. And when I was a kid, it would make life so much easier, but we didn't have it then. So, which is great. Now you just put a search in guitar, instrumental, nylon string, and all these great suggestions come up. So I found a piece called Melodia de una Noche by Silvestre Fonseca, and it's just a beautiful piece I fell in love with, and I decided to add it to my program, which I'll play for you now. This next piece is one that I grew up playing as a teenager. Well, let's back up a little bit. Before I was playing classical guitar, I learned how to strum. Basically chords, folk music. At the time, it was 75, 1976, 77. I was listening to Fleetwood Mac Rumors, listening to Jim Croce, ABBA, all of that. And so I didn't sing. I was a horrible singer. So I just strummed the chords, and I loved it. I just loved it. And my mom played, my brother played. So the guitar was always around the house. And so I was really drawn to it. And so I just strummed these chords for the whole 3-minute song. And then friends would say, hey, play me a song. And I would just strum 3 minutes of chords, and they'd be scratching their heads saying, when did the singing come? And it never came. And so it frustrated me. It was very frustrating. And so I started to not enjoy the guitar, but I enjoyed the guitar at the same time. And so something was definitely missing. But I did it for a number of years. I got good at it. And one day my mother brought home a cassette tape from Kmart. They had had a little picture of a guitar on it. And she only bought it for me because, it's a guitar. She figured maybe it was something I liked. And little did she know that it had this kind of music on it, classical guitar, Spanish guitar music. And that's exactly what I was looking for. To be able to play a complete song without bass, drums, vocals, keyboards, anything. It was a complete song. And it was all these famous Spanish composers. And I just loved it. I listened to the songs over and over again. Couldn't quite play the music yet because it was too complex. But I stayed with it. And I listened and listened, and I figured out how to get down to Boston Music Company and go through their files of classical guitar music. Because you don't see that anymore. The 5-drawer file system with A through Z, just looking up sheet music, pulling out, I'll just buy that, and I'll buy this. And I had a list of songs from the tape I wanted to learn. So I looked up all the titles, got the sheet music. And I was just kind of getting into learning how to read sheet music. And so this was, the piece I'm going to play was one of those pieces where I wanted to play it so bad. I got the music, learned it, and it took me about 3-4 weeks, almost a month to learn at the time. I think I was about 16. And I've been just playing it ever since. It's a piece by Bill Lewis called Prelude No. 1. on to some of the music that I wrote. And this piece is called Theme for Irene, which is basically a song written for this guitarist from Bogota, Colombia named Irene Gomez. And I just randomly found her on YouTube, loved her stuff, and she played traditional classical guitar music, Spanish music, and not so much any original music, but I still loved it. And I found out she was playing in New York at a concert in Soho, so I said, oh, I'd like to go meet her. It was kind of cool. And so I did, to meet. And it's funny, there's only about 9 people in the audience. I thought there would be like 1,000 people, because she's so good. She's got like 4 or 5 CDs out with the Juilliard. But so it was a nice intimate show like this. And so we got to meet, and that was great. And then we became friends and talked about composing. I showed her some of my originals. And she asked me, would you like to write a piece for me? And I said, I'd love to. Let me do a little research on your playing first, so I get an idea of what to write. So one of the pieces that she played, I forget the title, but it was just so gentle. How she played was really, really gentle and just beautiful tone on the guitar. And that's basically all I had to work with. I had nothing more to influence me on how to write for her. So I just took that into consideration and thought about a kind of a ballad or something sweet to write for her. And so out came Theme for Irene. So I'd like to play that for you now. So not only do I play guitar, but I'm a cyclist. It's a big passion of mine. I love traveling by bike. And when I go on far rides, I always try to keep things, like trying to notice things, because you never know when something's going to motivate me to write a song. But I try to repel that. I try to just enjoy the ride, and it never works. I'm always looking for something. And so a number of years ago, many years ago, I started riding, when I was in my 20s actually, I started riding in Boston for the first time with a bike. And I learned how to do back roads, and it took me about 3.5 hours to get there. And then I ride around the Charles River and go to Watertown, because I lived in Watertown, Cambridge, all that. I just ride everywhere for like 4 hours. And then I take about 4.5 hours to ride home because I'm really tired. And so I've been doing that for many years. And this one particular trip, it was just a perfect day outside. It's probably August, and I forget when, if it was around 2009, 2010 maybe. And I was riding on the MIT side of Charles River and saw all these boats, these little sailboats lined up. And they had all these colored numbers, or numbers with the colored something on the sails, I think. And I noticed how they just jumped out at me. Everything else on the boat was like white. All these colors, it was dynamic looking. It must have been about 25 of them lined up. I go, wow, that's pretty vibrant looking. That's really cool. And I just thought about it. I kept thinking about it. And then I just kept going towards Cambridge. And as I was looking down my pedals, just watching the pedals go up and down, I'm leading up to something, by the way. So I'm watching the pedals go up and down, and I'm thinking about the colors, and I'm thinking, I want to write a song about that. I don't know how, maybe what I'm going to do yet, but so I was, just watching my pedals, my feet going up and down, and it's the only thing on my mind for the whole day. It's like, oh, I got to write a song about this. I can't wait to get home. So I got home, and basically what I did, the process was, I was just sat on my porch and grabbed the guitar, kind of leaned back, just real casual, just picked up some chord and just started noodling them around. I didn't even really sit there like a brainiac trying to write notes and think about it. I was just got real comfortable like this, and just I think I started doing just like that. And somehow it made me think of cycling, the pedaling going up and down for some reason. And so I stayed with this. And then I shifted a finger down, and I just said, I like that, so I'll keep going with it, back and forth. But the key is in order to compose this song, I had to just keep thinking of that sensation I had when I saw those colors on the boat. And the sensation I had of cycling while thinking about it. There was some connection that happened. And that's the pathway. That's what enables me to compose a song, is I have to make that connection like that. And so I kept doing that over and over again. And it sounded a little too thin. So then I added some bass notes. And that gave the illusion of the pedals going like this. Up and down, right? That. So I said, okay, that's where we're going with this. And so, so I then composed this piece in probably 4 or 5 hours. It just came out pretty natural. I spent another 2 or 3 days fine-tuning it. So probably a good week or two before I recorded it the way I liked it, and it became a song called Colors. move on to another piece that I wrote. Most of the rest of the songs will be originals, except for the final piece. But this next one's called "To Dream Along the Waterfront." And if you're familiar with Newburyport, I live next door to Newburyport. And I was on my bike, and I rode to the boardwalk. And the boardwalk, shaped like that, and there's these big pillars that come out. And so I didn't have my guitar on me. And so I just leaned back on it, just enjoying all the boats going by, middle of summer in the afternoon. And I'm always kind of wondering when the next something's going to happen where I can write a song. And I didn't know what was going to happen then. But I was just sitting there, and a little melody was brewing in my head. For some reason, something just popped in my head. I didn't try to think of writing or doing anything, but all of a sudden this little something came into my head, and I go, oh, I like that. And luckily I had my backpack with some paper and a pen. I drew a little music manuscript, just all the lines of the G clef, and I thought about the key it might be in, the key of G, and I just kind of wrote it out, and wrote out what I was hearing. It was basically an introduction to what would become the song. And I hurried up and hopped on my bike and just went home. It just sacrificed that nice day out there. And I went home and grabbed the guitar, started playing it. I thought, this is going to be a monster piece. I love this. This is going to be great. So got my little recorder out, started recording ideas. And when you start an introduction to a song, that's when the rest of the song writes itself. Because I remember when I was a student at Berklee, it was 1986, I was 18, just out of high school, and I was pretty cocky too. I thought I knew everything, well, I'm sidestepping from the story. I'll tell you this quick little funny thing that happened when I was a freshman there, and I thought I knew everything. All of 125 pounds and long hair, and an earring, thinking I was unique in Boston with an earring, and I remember my teacher, we had a private instruction every 30 minutes for every week. Every week you'd have a half-hour lesson, basically, plus all your other courses, harmony, arranging, whatever. And, I went in there, I've been playing since I was 5, no problem. The teacher's Garrison Fuel. And he goes, all right, Scott, I want you to play A-flat major scale, 2 octaves from the 4th degree. Yeah, no problem. 4 notes into it, and I choked. And he took this newspaper, just put it right in front of his face. He goes, yeah, let me know when you really know the scale. And he's just reading the paper. It really put me in my place. And so anyway, I had some good experiences there. So one of my other, aside from all the courses I had, this one piece of advice that they gave me was during one, I forget which class it was. I don't know what it was, harmony or whatever, but they said, I think, it was an arranging class. We were talking about song form, introductions, song form, like verse, chorus, all that. And I remember they said, can anyone define what an introduction to a song is? Like no one could. Like we couldn't really define it, put it into words. We know what it is. We all hear it, introduction to a song. It's the start of a song, but that doesn't really define the song, what an introduction is. And they just, they did their job. They told us what an introduction was. They said, well, it's part of the song that establishes the tonality, the key of the song. It establishes the feel, the vibe of the song. It establishes the tempo. It prepares the rest of the band, to play this piece, to get into that moment of the song. The introduction helps you know what to expect, like reading a preface in the book. I always ignored that when I was a teenager. My English teacher says, you gotta read that. You gotta read all these little introductions. It gives you a better awareness of what to expect. So I always remember that. So whenever I write a song, I always write the introduction first. And it really has helped because with that introduction, you're able to expand on that and create a song, basically. I couldn't do it any other way. So the introduction I wrote on this was in my head first, then written down on paper, then on guitar, and then it was recorded. So this is "To Dream Along the Waterfront." time as a guitarist, I played out a lot. I played out in Boston quite a bit. I enjoy it, but I enjoy playing around the North Shore. It's just easy to get around. And I mean, I've had so many moments where I had a gig at the, I think it was the State Room or someplace near Faneuil Hall. It was like the 33rd floor. I remember I had to go up there for a 2-hour show. Brought all my equipment up there, got there nice and early, extra early, and I was good to go. I had plenty of time to go grab something to eat down in the hallway. We went all the way down there, ordered some dinner. Forgot my wallet. This all the way up, 33 flights. To go over there, go back to the building and get it, and they wouldn't let me in because I didn't have an identification, which was upstairs. And I'm like, oh man, I have to eat, I have to get ready to play this game. What do I do? And so I had to think really quick and go to the garage, and sneak through the garage and go through some freight elevator, get all the way up there, good to go. So playing in Boston can have its challenges. But I did play at a hotel called the Taj Hotel in near the Public Gardens. It was a rooftop gig. I always loved those. Those are the perks of the work. And it was just about at the top, almost at the top. And there was like this balcony that went around with a big window, open. They were like open. I think they were open. And you could just see this awesome views. And so I remember I did my show. It was just background music for some event, and everyone looked great. It was all with black ties. It was fantastic, and it was a perfect night. And after I was done, the person who hired me, my contact person, said, "Hey Scott, just everyone's in the other room. Have something to eat. Have some wine. There's plenty of wine. Just help yourself. Honestly, just help yourself." So I did. I did, and I remember just having a glass of wine, looking out at all the lights in the city, and just like Charlie Brown, they're sitting on the wall like that. It was Charlie Brown and Linus. I mean, I felt like them, just staring out, just thinking about things, and just remember just thinking about reflecting how great the show went. It was, the background music. So I just remembered that moment. Obviously, had an idea of the song came out. So when I got home, I said, oh, I got to write about that moment. I was just sitting there looking at the lights and thinking about how great the night went. Everything felt electric. It was really great. So I said, I'm going to write a tune about that moment. It's going to be kind of jazzy, but kind of Latin at the same time, because I love jazz music and I love Latin music. So I wanted to combine those elements and see what I get. So this song took a little bit more work. It wasn't just so easy to just do an intro and boom, it's done. It really took a lot of work, and I mean, if you looked over my shoulder, it looked like I was doing algebra or geometry just with the notes, just trying to make everything work. So, but it took me a couple weeks to compose, and the now called Taj. 10 minutes to go. I have about a few more pieces to play. Let's see, we'll do, yeah. So I think maybe 2009, again, I did a lot of composing around then, 2009, 2010, 2011. It was a ton of composing for me. And every time I was just cranking them out, one after another, one after another. And I remember I was so excited because my mom calls me up and says, hey, would you like to go to Bermuda? I'm like, what? A cruise? What? Yeah, 8 days. What? I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. Can I bring my girlfriend? She says, you can't. You can't. It was only my mom, my boyfriend, my aunt, her husband, and my uncle. My uncle had, enough room for one other person. And I love my uncle. He's a guitarist too. So I was like, all right, I'll just have to break the news to her. So I ended up going and hung out with my uncle, which was great. We had perfect weather for 8 days. And I said to myself, there's no way I'm even going to think about guitar. No way. And I did it for a while. I'd never been on a cruise ship before. It was pretty cool. I'm an early riser, so it doesn't matter if I'm on vacation or whatever. I'm up at 5. And I'm going all around the ship, walking around, waiting for the sunrise to come up. And that was incredible. We had a balcony, which was also pretty cool. So I would make a little coffee, I had a little coffee maker in there, and make my coffee, sit out there and just wait for the sun to come up, or I'd walk around the ship and wait for the sun to come up. So I did that every single day. And by the end of the trip, I was already thinking of a song, and I knew it was going to happen. And I go, how can I not write a song about this experience? This is great. But see, I didn't want to force it. I didn't want to be like mechanical about it. Oh, I'm going to cruise. Step 1, start thinking about a melody. I didn't want to be like that. So I really did repel the whole idea of it for most of the trip. And it was just wonderful. I got a nice break from playing. But towards the end, I started thinking about it, and only a vibe came to me. No melodies, no groove, no nothing, just a vibe. Something came to me, and I can't quite explain what it is. Just a sensation, I guess. And so when I got home, I picked up this guitar, and just the first chord came out. I already knew what I wanted. It was this chord. I was just thinking about it. And what I liked about it was that this high E string here is open to do anything I want for melody. So this chord is in the middle of the string, so I have some options, but that's going to help the process along a little bit easier. So instantly, it was funny. I just started playing it. I didn't think about it. I just started going. And so a song was born at that moment. So it took me about a week to write. It's called Sunrise. 2 more pieces to play. I think I can do it in 4 minutes. This, I usually end my concerts with this piece. This is a piece called Cullata la Tempesta, which is Italian for to lull the storm. And I wrote it in 2010, again, around that time. Because it was a Sunday morning, and I wanted to go for a bike ride so bad, but the skies were just dark. It was windy, but no rain yet. That eerie feeling, you know? And so I'm just staring out the window, and I had the guitar in my hands, and I had the string tuned really low, like that. So I had my guitar in that tuning at the time. So it was so quiet, I was just thinking about wanting to ride. I wanted to ride so much, and it was so quiet. And I remember I was just reflecting on the fact that I had never written like a lullaby for my kids. They're older now, in their 20s. And I never wrote a lullaby for them. I regretted that. So I said, oh, I'm going to write a lullaby. I'm going to write it to lull the storm away. A lullaby for the storm. And so, not knowing that the song would just become a global piece that people from almost every part of the world has played now. And I didn't even see that coming. My goal to compose music was to share music with people. That was, to give back for all of the great pieces I learned when I was a kid off that cassette tape. I could never thank those artists because they're out of reach to me. They're in another part of the world. Famous people who I can't just call them and say, hey, thank you for that awesome recording you made in 1965. I can't do that. So what's the next best thing I can do is give back, write a body of works for guitar, and find a way to share it with the world somehow. That was my only intention. I didn't want to be rich. I didn't want to make a whole lot of money doing this. And that was really the whole reason why I started composing. So, so the song got popular. A friend of mine, a very well-known classical guitarist in Copenhagen, recorded it. And from there, it just snowballed. Everyone started making videos on YouTube for it. Pianists, harpists, so many people. And it's just wonderful to see the popularity. And I'm just so happy to see it. So I'll play that for you now. It's called Cullata la Tempesta. last piece. I know I'm going to go a little over time. Is that okay? All right, short piece. Yeah, I really wanted to end the night with this. It's a beautiful piece I discovered from a friend of mine named Laura Jean Crockett from in New York. And she's a pianist, actually. She plays piano, relaxing piano music. And we've been supporting each other on YouTube for a number of years. And she loves my music, I love her music. And we both compose. So her and her husband, I invited them to my last concert I did at the Firehouse Center for the Arts in Newburyport a couple weeks ago. So they drove here to see Michelle and to meet for the first time, which was great. I loved it. When you see someone from YouTube, it's just, and then you see him in real life, it's just it's a great experience. Anyway, so she wrote a song called Fade In, and it's for piano, and I wanted to play it for her at my concert. I wanted to arrange it for the guitar and play it for her as a surprise. But this was like 2 days before the show. I'm like, what, am I gonna do this? Or am I gonna get away with doing this? But it was such a beautiful piece. I said, I have to do it. I spent every waking hour just learning it, arranging it. It was a fairly simple piece. But when you just learn a piece, even though it might be a little easier to play, it's a different situation when you're in front of a body, like a lot of people, and you're playing in a concert hall, and all of a sudden you just got to rely on memory for something you just learned the other day. So I took the chance, and I did okay. I played without a net. This is called Fade In. Says I talk too much, so I think it's the best platform for that. So thank you very much for coming.